Hello folks, it is February the 12th, 2021. And coming up on this episode, there's an awful lot of news to get through. But it's quite a big birthday of mine on Sunday, and my other half's rented me a Ferrari Dino, my dream car for the weekend. So I'm sure you will forgive me and both understand if this episode might come in a little short. And we start this week with news that two-time Formula One world champion Fernando Alonso, who was due to be making his return to the sport this year, has been involved in a road accident while cycling in Switzerland. At the time of recording, the news is less than 12 hours old. He was taken to hospital. He has undergone surgery overnight, corrective surgery for a fracture on his upper jaw, but other than that, apparently seems well in himself, and the team say should be due to recommence his pre-season training soon. So keep your eyes peeled. Obviously this is a developing story, so keep your eyes peeled for the official Alpine social media sources for official updates on Fernando, but for now we wish him well. This news came in the week that Alpine had actually fired up their car, becoming the latest team to do so. The team also unveiled their academy plans this year. Guan Yu Zhou will continue with the team in Formula 2, as will Christian Lundgaard. Oscar Piastri graduates to Formula 2 as well. Colette and Martins will both race for MP Motorsport in Formula 3. The interesting thing with all of this is that Alpine no longer have any customer teams, Renault customer teams in Formula 1. So because of that, there isn't actually anywhere for them to put their young drivers when they graduate to Formula 1 other than in the big team. They have said, however, that they are interested in talking to some of their rivals to put their juniors with their rival. Of course, Guan Yu Zhou would be the first Chinese F1 driver in history were he to make the next step. Red Bull now, and it's good news coming from the F1 Commission. A unanimous vote was passed to bring the engine freeze forward from 2023 to 2022, meaning that Red Bull can continue to run their Honda engines next year and into the future. By bringing forward the engine freeze, it also means that the new engine regulations will be brought forward from 2026 to 2025. The sport's saying they want a new engine formula which is cheaper, socially relevant, and also provides a powerful and emotive engine, which hopefully means a bit more noise. In other Commission news, the idea of trialling sprint races met with positivity but wasn't voted through. Needs a little bit more work before they are all agreed on giving it 3 trial events this year in 2021. Also, the notion of a driver and top staff salary cap was also discussed, but again, not agreed. The sport has also announced that the We Race as One message will continue into 2021, but the rainbow logo and the pre-race anti-racism message seen in 2020 would disappear. The notion of racing as one will instead become the company's new ESG strategy, focusing on diversity and inclusion, sustainability and community. Mercedes now, and it's probably indicative of the week of news that we've had that this isn't top billing, but Lewis Hamilton has re-signed. It's probably not top billing for us in terms of news because we always knew the deal was going to be done. The team had always assured us that it was just a matter of time, and sure enough, there really was nothing underhand happening. It was just a matter of time. A big part of this new deal is the creation of a foundation between Lewis and Mercedes, which will push for diversity and inclusion both at the team and in the sport. And as Toto said, he hopes that this is part of a longer-term project, or believes that this is a part of a longer-term project between Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton, which may even take them beyond the years of Lewis as just a racing driver. Now, Mercedes also, a big point of interest for them coming up as Mercedes versus Pirelli in the America's Cup. Well, Great Britain versus Italy. It is the final race between, or set of races between these two teams to see who will face New Zealand for the America's Cup. On to Ferrari now. I should have led with Ferrari, really, shouldn't I? They fired up their 2021 car. Just this morning, actually, went out on social media. So great stuff to see that, and confirmation from them as well that one part of their two-part launch will take place on the 26th of February. A little bit of sadness at the team as this week marked 1 year since their last launch, and they were really reflecting back on how much they'd enjoyed that occasion and how it was one of the last things we got to do, all together before the pandemic really hit. The FDA drivers have been in action this week, the younger ones anyway, at Lonato, getting back to basics, back to a bit of karting. Great to see them going back to not just their roots, but real proper, exciting. I mean, everyone loves a bit of karting, don't they? So the FDA drivers are absolutely loving getting back to karts. Now, while we're on the topic of Ferrari, let's talk about Haas. Gunther Steiner saying in the week that he might call on either Romain Grosjean or Kevin Magnussen to substitute as a driver for them in 2021, should the need arise. Kevin subsequently confirmed he didn't really want to do that, thank you very much, but thanks for the offer. On to Williams now, and both drivers have been at the factory this week, both for their seat fit and for some sim time, and also being worked hard with a bit of creative content for the social media team, not least because they launched their new team kit this morning in partnership with Umbro. Sadly, no England 1986 football kit vibes, although there is a wicked cool training kit shirt, which is a little bit football-y. McLaren have also unveiled their new merchandise lineup, giving us a first glimpse of their 2021 branding before they become the first team to launch their car when the world gets to see the MCL 35M on Monday. Alfa Romeo has done what may be the first in Formula One in signing a health and safety solutions partner for 2021 who will provide all of their face masks for the season ahead. And finishing up with Formula One news, the final round of the mini F1 Esports Virtual GP Championship takes place this weekend, and after George Russell won the second race of the season last time out, he will be going again this weekend as the championship moves on to Brazil, the final round where the championship purse will be divided between the charities being driven for by the drivers. Haas still lead the standings after another great showing for the Fittipaldi brothers last time out. Arthur Leclerc returns after winning the first round for Ferrari alongside Dino Beganovic. Nicolas Prost will be racing for Alpine, and Alex Albon is back with Red Bull. A spot of Indycar now, and Mattia Binotto has confirmed to Speedweek that sadly Ferrari, having weighed up the options, have decided not to enter Indycar in the short term, but hasn't actually ruled out a medium or long-term interest in entering the championship. And other IndyCar news, Charlie Kimball has confirmed that he's signed up with Dale Coyne for the Indy 500. In Formula E, DS Automobiles has joined Mahindra to become the second manufacturer to commit to the third generation of the championship. We can expect to see a first look at the third generation car later on in the year. Meanwhile, NIO has signed Adam Carroll to be its new reserve driver, and what a driver. Last year I placed him at number 9 in my top 20 drivers of the past 2 decades never to race in Formula 1. He is absolute quality. And in the FC Accelerate Esports Championship, Kevin Ziggy has taken a step closer to the championship leader, Aaron Jajowski, by winning this week's race. NASCAR now, and Kyle Busch won the Busch Clash. What a mouthful. As leaders Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney came together on the final lap of the pre-season 35-lap contest. The season opening race, the Daytona 500, takes place on Valentine's Day, my birthday, and it's an all Hendrick front row as Bowman and Byron took poles for their respective duels, which will set the grid for the 500. Peugeot has announced its 2022 hypercar lineup, and it is nothing short of phenomenal. Loic Duval, Jean-Eric Verne, Paul di Resta, Mikkel Jensen, James Rossiter, Gustavo Menezes, and Kevin Magnussen. I mean, just wow. All these guys are going to continue with their normal, regular 2021 racing and test for the team as and when they can. But what a lineup. Toyota, meanwhile, is on target with its pre-season testing for 2021 World Endurance Championship, where it will enter its hypercar, despite the fact it lost a huge chunk of time when one of its tests at Aragon was snowed off. All the team's drivers now, including their new reserve Nick de Vries, have had a taste of the GR010. And in IMSA, Era Motorsport, which took LMP2 honours at the Rolex 24, has announced that it will contest the full IMSA season in the number 18 Orica Gibson. In Japan, Super GT has revealed an amended 2021 schedule as it's cancelled its planned races in both Thailand and Malaysia, leaving 8 races across 6 circuits in Japan. Supercars in Australia has had its first test of the season, which was topped unexpectedly by Zane Goddard. Their season gets underway at the end of February in Mount Panorama. F3 Asia now. I've been enjoying covering a bit of F3 Asia, and after the last episode was recorded, Pierre-Louis Chauvet went on an absolute blast, winning 3 races back-to-back, but a final win of the weekend for Jehan Daruvala set them up as having 3 wins apiece and leaving Chauvet very much in charge of the championship. They're racing again this weekend in Dubai. In fact, the first race I think is pretty much going on while I'm filming this, so we'll update you more in the next episode. Now, in FIA Formula 3, the planned pre-season test has had to be delayed because the Spanish Health Ministry has extended a travel ban on all UK nationals, which means that 2 Formula 3 teams and any UK-based drivers wouldn't be able to attend. In other F3 news, disappointing F3 news actually, American standout and F1 hopeful Logan Sargent's management has said he's now looking to switch to sports cars as he lacks the budget to continue in open wheel racing. So no more F3 for him, no F2. That F1 dream also seemingly put on the shelf. Real shame. Also, Enzo Fittipaldi has decided to jump ship from the European ladder of Junior Series racing to contest the Road to Indy ladder and join Indy Lights for 2021. Also talking Indy Lights, Carlin have signed Christian Bogle to its team to partner Alex Peroni. My eyes, though, and those, I think, of the entire championship in Indy Lights are going to be on Stingray Robb, who's just got probably the coolest name in racing, who's racing at Juncos, and Carl Kirkwood at Andretti. Really expecting big things from them. Very promising racing drivers. Actually, the whole Indy Lights category this year has a lot of interest and excitement around it. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how that one shapes out. And in USF 2000, Miles Rowe, the first driver selected by Roger Penske to test for his new Race for Equality and Change program, has signed to race for the Force Indy team, which itself was created as an academy to help develop African-American pit crew and set them on a path to IndyCar. The 20-year-old Miles Rowe, who hails from Atlanta, will also be continuing his studies as a film major at University in New York. What a dude. In the WRC, former Rallycross and DTM champion Matthias Ekstrom will mark his return to the championship at the Arctic Rally Finland, where he will be driving a Skoda Fabia. And yesterday, the FIA announced that it will join forces with WRC Promoter Group to implement the 2021 World Rallycross Championship, ahead of concluding a deal which will see the WRC Promoter Group sort of entrusted with commercial and media rights along with their push towards the electrification of the series. Now, in MotoGP, a fire ripped through the facilities at the host venue for Argentina's round of the World Championship, the Autodromo Termas de Rio Hondo. Absolutely galling for everybody involved in the event, which had been postponed already this year, but organisers say they will do everything possible to rebuild and get the race back on the calendar. Meanwhile, Fabio Quartararo posted on social media that he had actually contracted COVID back in December, but despite losing some physical conditioning, was back to training and looking forward to getting the season underway. And in other news, Suzuki has announced that they will be replacing Davide Brivio, who of course left to join the Alpine F1 team as its sporting director, with, well, no one. Actually, instead, a team a management committee will be set in place rather than one individual person. So it's novel, it's highly democratic, but I guess time will tell to see whether it works or not. And finally, the awesome Race of Champions event, which returns in 2022 with its first ever event on snow and ice in the northernmost climes of Sweden, has confirmed its first drivers. Tom Christensen and Johan Kristoffersen will defend their Race of Champions Nations Cup title, while Team Norway will consist of father and son, Petter and Oliver Solberg. So yeah, that's going to be great. Anyone taking on either of those two teams in those kind of conditions has got their work cut out for them. But yeah, can't wait for ROC to be back in 2022. Well, there we go, folks. That is about all we've got time for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your comments, your questions, your continued support, and hit that subscription button if you haven't done already. And I will see you back next week for the next episode of This Week. For now, though, it's a very happy birthday to me, and I'll see you guys very soon.